Start by planning your visit and call your local Mimaki Demo Center. Before coming into the building, please put on your mask. Extra points if you printed your own mask. If you do not have one, we can provide you one. Sanitation stations are available at every entrance. A Mimaki representative will take your temperature before you enter the building. Please keep a distance of at least 6 feet between people during your visit. Now, let's get to printing. Thank you for visiting Mimaki. We hope to see you again soon.
Hi, are we live? All right.
I think so.
All right. Welcome to Mimaki Live. This is our third episode. We spent the last few episodes talking about two different segments that two market segments that we help to service here at Mimaki. We're going to focus now on the third, which is IP. For anyone who is joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us a chance. Any new people, thanks for joining again. Love seeing return customers. Be sure to follow us online for all information. We're going to be seeing a lot of people come in and talk to us about IP industrial products that we have here in Mimaki, and all the information that we go over will be online on our website through tips and tricks videos to webinars, how-tos, information of our partners. And I hope that this is informative, educational, and a little bit entertaining. We're going to go through a brief history of our company, just for all the new people who aren't familiar with Mimaki. We are a 45-year-old company founded in Japan. We have offices all around America and in 150 countries around the world. We have offices in LA, we have Jersey, Milwaukee. We are in our Atlanta corporate office right now. So wherever you are, we are here to help. We aim to boost customer businesses through our print and cut technologies that includes our printers, our cutters, and our software that we make in-house, as well as our inks. So whatever process of printing that you are at in your business, we can provide that service to you. Next of all, my name is Lewis Jones. I'm an application specialist here in the Atlanta branch. This is Mike Maxwell. He's a co-host.
Yep, Mike Maxwell. I'm the senior manager here for our corporate strategic development group. Got a great team of people that work day and night to try and bring you as much information about the printing and cutting world as we can. I'm really excited about talking about the industrial product segment. It's one of our most expansive and lucrative product lines in the company. They're all great. This one's got a little bit more versatility. We'll talk about that today. Before we get into that, though, don't forget to check out our tips and tricks. The applications team's been putting a lot of effort into showing you how to use the equipment. We've also got promos and specials that are running from time to time. We do have some back to business specials that will be actually ending today. So go ahead and check that out. If you are in the market or are currently talking to one of our sales reps, don't miss out on the opportunity for one of those specials that will be ending today. And we have a really good lineup of folks that are on today. We do want to mention one real quickly that one of our Instagram followers is the proud recipient of a 3DFF 222 that was given away as a giveaway in our previous 2 episodes. So we'll have more opportunities for our followers and all of our customers to interact with us for some sort of promotion or giveaway in the future. So stick with us, follow us, like us, subscribe, check out the website, do everything that you can to connect with us, and in future you'll have an opportunity to be, brought into one of our other promotions. So today's episode, industrial products. We've got 2 great guests on today. We've got Anthony Harris from Gravotech, who will be joining us to talk about laser engravers and rotary engravers, as well as how it integrates with our print systems. And then we've got a great partner of ours, ITNH on. Mark and Mike will be joining us to talk about how to start a business with a industrial product like one of our UJF or our JFX products, and how to be more successful with it and what their experience has been as they've helped businesses get started and grow. So really excited to have them join us today, and let's get started. So
yeah, we can get into some of the products that we have in the industrial products section. That is our flatbed section. So we have our UJF, our JFX, like you said. Those are, as opposed to the sign and graphics department, where those are second surface. They work with second surface materials where you print on something that is going to be applied to another surface like wallpaper or wrapped around an object. These are more for personalized items. You are going to be printing directly to a surface like a wood, acrylic, or plastic, really.
Yeah, wood, plastic, metal, a variety of different substrates. And you're right. I mean, in the UV world, the UV ink is able to be printed directly onto the surface of virtually any material. And we can talk about how that works a little bit, but there's a wide variety of different things you can do as a result of the way the technology works. So
yeah, all of our flatbed printers are UV based.
Correct.
Yeah.
LED UV, as you mentioned, we manufacture the inks for them. We have a large portfolio of different inks for a variety of different substrates. We have primers. We've got all kinds of different ways for you to utilize the technology, so that regardless of what you're trying to print to, like if you're trying to print to phone case parts, or if you're trying to print to jewelry or pins or any type of object, you can produce on that material, and we have the right solution for you.
This is the more easily marketable section because of the different objects that you can print to. You can really get the most fun objects in this section.
Yep.
And because of the primer, the clear, the white, and the UV inks, because they're UV inks, you can get very detailed, very small with the instant curing. All those inks combined, you can get really interesting finished products. And our primer, you can adhere to most surfaces. I think one of the main uses for the primer is whatever surface you're working on. If it is not a rigid surface, if it is a smooth surface like glass, you need something or primers to make this stuff stick. So with that, you can work with a variety of different primers, correct? Not just ours.
Yeah, so the primer conversation, and generally when we talk about UV, because you have such a wide range of products you can print to. I mean, I could take something out of my pocket, stick it on one of these machines, and print to it. Getting the ink to adhere to it is where things start to get a little bit more complicated, but it's not that complicated. You just have to do a series of preparation to make sure that you're getting the right results. So, for example, if I'm printing on a plastic, the ink may adhere to it inherently without any need for additional support, a primer or any type of cleaning. But if I'm going to a glass surface, like you mentioned, I might need a primer for that. So if I'm doing a glass surface, the number one thing to do with UV curable is to test, to verify. We have showrooms all throughout the U.S. We have partners all throughout the U.S. that help identify what the right combination of material, ink, and if a post or pre process is needed in order to get the ink to stay on it permanently and durable. But once you've got the combination of those together, you've got so many different things you can do with this technology. I mean, we've got bottles here. You've got some stuff on your desk, and we'll talk about these as well.
And when we're moving over from printing one object into a production line, we're going to talk a little bit about that more when we get into ITNH and switching to large production wise printing. We can service that as well. Our printers are made to work with different jigs that can hold. Our UJF series works with different holders such as that called jigs that can hold different objects. Once you print on one, I think those were made for phone recharge.
I believe so, or USB keys, something like that.
USB keys. Once you get one of those printed correctly, you figure out the exact settings that you need, figure out what that is supposed to look like. Once you have those settings saved, you can build up and print multiple in one go. So you would make a jig like that, put that into the printer, fill that up with as many as you need, and start printing to make sure that those don't move around while the printer is printing. So that saves time. That's a way that we've found to cut down costs, cut down on increase speed. And those can be made with different cutters like Gravotech or
a CNC router, laser engraver. There's a bunch of different ways. Yeah, you're right. So the jig conversation lends yourself to scalability and mass production.
Right.
So there's a couple of different ways you can utilize the jig. So if I'm printing on a one-off, I could literally just put it on the table, figure out exactly where the printer needs it to be, and I can print to it. But if I want repeatable results and I want to have a production environment, let's say I'm only doing enough to justify one jig, the way the tables are designed, specifically the UJF, they have mount points on there. We provide the CAD drawings so that you can lay out your own mount points on your jig. And you can either use a pin registration or you can use a literal screw to lock it down. So if you want to lock it down and permanently have it fixed for running the same thing over and over again, you can do that. Or you can have it where it's pin registration. You can take this off and you can quickly switch to a completely different product, or you can have another jig of these ready to go.
And when we're talking about jigs, those work with our RIP software. You can choose the separation between those different objects to really figure out what kind of jig you have and how that's supposed to look. So there's no separation between you. The first one will look good, but maybe the fifth one at the bottom might look a little wonky. You can adjust that to fit correctly. We have a lot of different technologies that work with our ripping software for these flatbeds. And one of the main features is you can put objects directly into these, not just not just solid flat objects. We work on curved surfaces, correct?
Yeah, so unlike a traditional roll-to-roll printer, like you mentioned earlier, where we would have to feed the material through, we're placing the object on the table. So we can do virtually any surface. Now, if you're going on a surface that's not completely level or flat, we do have technologies built in, like our large drop functionality and long drop functionality in the software and the machines that will allow you to get a further drop. But there's a limitation to how far you can curve over. But you can get onto some textured surfaces. You can get down into some recesses and things like that with the technology. And it comes down to the software and the settings. But you don't have to necessarily have a perfectly flat surface. You can do a wood, which typically is not flat, right? There's a lot of variations there. So all kinds of, but it comes back down to the testing, right? Verifying that you've got the ability to, one, put it in the machine or on the machine. And two, the fact that the printer has to physically be able to get over it. And then once you've got to that point, do you have the right ink that's compatible with the material that you're going to be printing to? Does that need a primer? Testing is the most critical piece to this. And again, we have all these machines set up throughout the North American market. We've got dealers that set these up so that we can run through these paces with you and verify that what you're trying to do. But the most important thing in the process is repeatability. Obviously, on our side is great. The software, Rasterlink, allows you to do the jig layout and everything else. But the source that you're going to be printing to has to be consistent. And I can't stress that enough, because we see it a lot where a customer will come in with an item that they purchased. Maybe they purchased 100 of them to do some testing. Works great. Buy the machine, and then they go and buy this product again that's not printed already, and they get it from a different source. Well, you've changed a variable there. That plastic may not be compatible with what we tested. So it's important to verify where you're going to get your materials from as well. If you can do that consistently, you're going to have great results, and you can make all kinds of different things. I mean, we got jewelry.
I want to talk about some of the different applications that you can get with some of the newer technologies that we have. We put out a line of tips and tricks videos on this object here, which was our glitter, double glitter video that we made. This was a flat box. This rigid pattern was actually made with the clear ink, and then primer added first, then clear ink, then a layer of glitter that could be added to it. I think the specifics are on the video that can be found online if you want to do this yourself.
We actually have a preview of that video for our broadcast today.
Yes, that will be up later. Something like this could only be done with this different inks that we have in our machines, correct?
Right, and that's a digital process that's got an analog process married to it, which is kind of unique to this type of printing, right? So UV curable allows you to do it, because what we can do is we can increase or decrease the intensity of the UV light that's hitting the ink, and we can pin that ink down where it becomes a semi-solid. It's tacky like a glue, and it's explained much better in the video. But basically, you can take a foil or a glitter that would be normally done like through a hot stamp process or an analog process, and you can marry it to our digital process and come up with all kinds of great new unique things that you can't do anywhere else.
And it limits the amount of human error with a lot of the application process, because a lot of like the sign and graphics section that we were talking about, adding in wallpaper, adding in objects that need to be wrapped, those could have like bubbles. It could be askew when you apply them. These limit that human error by just taking that out of the equation. Of course, this does have that second application to it, but you would have a more difficult problem if this was just something that you needed to apply yourself.
Yeah, your one-offs are going to be your most messy when you're setting this stuff up. But once you've got the conceptual product ready to go, the jigs come into play. And with Rasterlink, we've made it extremely simple. You go into Rasterlink and you just set your spacing up. So with a quick couple of measurements on your jig, or even just using the jig file itself, you can quickly take your measurements within the software like Illustrator or Corel. You plug those into our jig layout tool, and you name it. And then when you go to use that product, so if I'm producing these and I want to go produce something else, I come back to this, I will pull up the jig layout tool. I've already got all my spacing laid out. I can do this honeycomb pattern over and over again, or I can do a completely different pattern for every single object on that bed. And the jig layout tool just puts it where it needs to be. I stick it on the table and I hit print. To your point, though, with the roll-to-roll products, we're producing on a product that's going to be applied somewhere else. So that opens up a layer of human error, right? Maybe I miscut it, or I don't align the panels properly, or to your point, I put some bubbles in it. I don't use the right application fluid. There's a number of different things that can happen in that process that could create a reprint or, a missed opportunity to deliver on time. So this eliminates that. Plus, you're not producing on an additional substrate, so it reduces the amount of cost that's involved with it. So you're producing directly onto the substrate. So not only is it cheaper to produce, but it's faster to turn it around. And because it's UV curable, it's instantly cured. I could print this right now and hand it to my customer as soon as it comes off the machine. I don't need to do anything else. So that's a real big benefit to this type of technology.
And when you add in a second device that we can use, like a cutter or laser engraver,
right,
you can get very unique settings like these phone cases made on pliable wood, and you print directly to like a flat surface of like thin wood, then take that to a cutter, cut around what you printed. You can just layer up a bunch of different designs on a flat surface with our printers, then take it to a cutter, cut these all out. You'll have multiple in one, easy with adhesive back to the entire piece of wood.
Yep.
And it'll give you something that's easy to apply.
Yeah, and like even like
2 seconds, takes 2 seconds. The second it's done cutting, second it's done printing, it is ready to cut. Second it's done cutting, it is ready to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. And with partners like Gravotech, we have the ability to make these from solid blocks of plastic, for example. Like this was a larger piece of plastic that was cut down once it was printed. The registration, not only on our printer, is repeatable and really easy to use, but the interactivity through the software to connect to other products in the market, like the Gravotech line, allows you to align the cutting lines so that your workflow is easy. You don't have to worry about your operator making a mistake. The machine aligns itself. There's a lot of really great things there for this type of printing.
Yeah. So we have the silver ink. We have the jigs that you can make with this machine. We also have the kebab that you have with the UJF. The kebab is something like we have that curves that has is made for curved surfaces. Instead of the sign and graphics, again, printing something piece of vinyl that is going to be applied to a water bottle. Instead, there is a turner that you place inside the printer. You put the object inside the turner, and it turns it as the print head is going on top of it. This, you can adjust the radius of the device that's you're putting in, and you can also adjust the speed as which the kebab is turning the object. And with that, you can actually print 2 curved surfaces with a design like this. This was initially this gray color at the top.
Right.
All of this gradient color at the bottom was printed with our inks on the kebab.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic example of the accuracy. So once you've laid out everything in the software, and again, it's just plugging in some simple measurements, you can see the seam. If you spin it around for the camera there, you can see the seam. So we can actually marry it perfectly by dot right next to each other. So you can print along the surface with the kebab where it rotates just enough to complete like a company logo or a name, or you can do a complete wrap.
And you can leave negative space like that to show off different logos instead of having to apply something else this is definitely going to last longer than a sticker or something that's not machine washable or something like that. This is going to last much longer than something that is going to the wear and tear of like a vinyl that would wrap around this to get the same effect.
Right. So it's extremely versatile in what you can do. It comes down to that testing, everything else. We get a lot of questions on our end from time to time about why wouldn't you just buy everything UV? UV is certainly one of the most versatile technologies out there, and it's really close for the outdoor durability of some of the other inks that you would expect for like a sign and graphics type application. But the UV curable does sit on the surface of the material. It does require some testing. It does require a little bit of additional homework, some additional math, if you will, for making sure your measurements are correct on your objects. So there's a couple of additional steps there. If I'm looking at like vehicle graphics, I can do vehicle graphics through like the UCJV, which is also UV curable. That works really well. But if I'm a vehicle wrap shop, then I want to do nothing but vehicle wraps. Solvent is probably still a better technology for that because of the maturity of that market. And if I'm going to a fabric, which UV can also do, if I'm doing short-term display graphics or anything like that, UV curable is going to work just fine. But if I'm looking for something that's going to be like a wearable or upholstered good, then the textile line becomes the way you want to go. So there's even the
trade-off there. And even the fabrics that you're thinking of, that can be done in the UV. With UV inks, you wouldn't want to do those on our flatbeds. You would want to do it on one of our sign graphics UV machines. So it's really depends on what application you're doing. And we do have a great device on our website, which is application picker. You choose what object you're trying to print on or what application you're trying to get, and it'll marry that with the printer specifically from us that'll be right for your business. So check out our website. Check it out.
Definitely. And if you have any questions about it, please reach out to our team at one of the locations. We have people like Louis mentioned, all over the North American market. We've got the technology here. We've got the ability to work with you to figure out what the right solution is, and really put it through its paces so that what you're getting is going to give you the results that you're looking for. And at the end, you can package it up and sell it. And we're going to talk a little bit about how these come to be in just a few minutes with our partners over at Gravotech. Anthony's going to come on in just a few minutes. It's really just a very versatile and very lucrative line of products. And these products by themselves, if I just have a wood panel, for example, that's going to go on a phone, I can command the price for these in bulk. But if I decorate it digitally, all of a sudden that price becomes much more valuable.
And that textured effect that you were trying to mimic with on some kind of vinyl, you can get that exactly by actually just printing to that surface. Instead of mimicking a wood surface, you can actually just print directly to that. You get the texture that you can't really replicate with the feel of that.
Right. So we've been talking a lot about the UJF line. We've also got our JFX line if you want to get into larger, more productive tables. It's a 4 foot by 8 foot starting platform. So there's a lot of different ways you can jump into the Mimaki lineup and get results like these. And it's one of those things that it comes up to your imagination. There's so many different things. We are always amazed at the things that we see on Instagram and all the different places on the internet where our customers show off what they're making with our machines. And we're like, oh, we never thought of that.
We have a great line of print solution specialists and application team members that all we do is get in different materials sent to us from customers or different companies that say, hey, is this a cool material that we work on, or this is like a special material that we work on? Can you test this out? So we're constantly testing. We're constantly trying to figure out the limits of what we can do.
And if you
so far unlimited.
And if you have questions about what you're seeing here, or you just have questions in general, don't forget to put your questions in the chat window. Follow, like, subscribe. Check out our website. We will have more and more videos for you to watch. We have a preview of one of those specific to the double glitter that you see there on that clutch. We've got a really good lineup today. So before we get into all that, let's welcome our first guest. We're going to do a quick commercial for Gravotech, and then we'll bring Anthony Harris in to discuss some of the objects that you're seeing here and what he's seeing from the laser engraving side. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Oh my!
All right, we're back. That commercial you just saw was from Gravotech, as we sell and support printing materials, printers. They support laser cutters, engravers. We love partnering with them. We have a long-standing relationship with this company, and we're going to be talking with one of their employees, Anthony Harris from Gravotech. Are you on with us?
Hi, guys. Yes, I'm on with you.
Hi.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi. Could you give a brief summary of Gravotech to some of the people who might not be familiar about your company and not familiar with some of the stuff that you can do?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Gravotech Incorporated, or Gravograph, got its start in 1938 in New York City as New Hermes. We're now a global manufacturer with over 100 subsidiaries. We manufacture rotary engraving routing equipment, in addition to lasers, both galvo and gantry lasers, in 4 different energy technologies to address a very wide range of materials. We also develop our own software and support that software, and manufacture engravable substrates, everything from laminated plastics to wood products to framing products, and then the supply items that you would need to go along with the equipment. And we service and support that equipment with both 800 line technical support and through field service engineers that are strategically placed around the country and globe. So we've been around for quite a while.
Right. We have started out most of our interviews talking about new companies being brought into this market, and new companies starting out with Etsy, bigger companies switching to smaller companies because of the environment that we're in. What kind of trends or marketable systems of interest should these new companies be focused on?
Yeah, so we're seeing the same. We're seeing a lot of new players that are going to the market through Etsy, eBay, even Amazon. We work with central fulfillment, large supply warehouses and things like that, in addition to sign shops and award industry, et cetera. So, but what we're seeing is that right now the cottage industries are just kind of exploding. We're seeing people that may have been furloughed or displaced that are starting their own businesses. Some of them are taking the skills that they already had and going directly to end users with those to market their products. Others are doing new and really creative things with fabricating jewelry and things like that they're selling on Etsy. So it's quite a market going on out there.
We got some as well.
Yeah, and the learning curve for switching and working with some of your technologies is very smooth, correct? Because I speaking personally, I didn't know much about your company. I didn't have any of your software before coming here. It was a seamless transition for me.
Yeah, it is. We make a range of software to address the skill level of different customers. So we can take someone that's just doing basic engraving, jewelry, things like that, and use a very simple software to address that's even picture driven, so that you just touch a picture of the item that you have templates for, and fill in the blanks and go, up to certainly more professional software, including workflow interactions.
Yeah, and these objects that can be engraved or cut with your devices after they're printed, adding a level of print to it, whether you're using a clear, like I've gotten these little lips. I think we've shown some pictures of it on the screen there. These earrings, it creates an opportunity to make unique objects. But what we found, and I think you would probably agree, is that once you print it, you've created a unique option, for your customers to buy. But then once you've personalized it through a laser or a rotary engraving workflow, it becomes that much more valuable to the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. Personalization is the key. It's a competitive market out there for people that are just buying product and reselling it. But once you embellish that product, you make it personal, whether it be through logo, interesting graphics, adding someone's name to it or a dedication, then you have significantly increased the marketable value of that product. So, we see that all the time where you take an insulated tumbler that you bought for $5, you embellish it with a logo, some text on it, and now you've got a $45 to $50 insulated tumbler. That's a huge
Yeah.
market.
Yeah, we're seeing this. We get a lot of questions about the insulated tumblers. We also get a lot of questions about like jewelry accessories. Like I've got this fingernail polish bottle here. You guys aren't limited to just flat surfaces, right? You guys have machines and different laser technology that will allow you to engrave and decorate, through that process, whether it's frosting the glass or whatever, things like this object here, which is a fingernail polish. This object here, which is a glass bottle, wine bottles. You guys got
Right.
a wide variety.
We do. We have a wide variety. We have rotary engravers that can accommodate items up to 14 3/4 inches in diameter. So if you wanted to put an ice bucket on a machine and index that ice bucket around and rotate it and engrave around the outside perimeter of it, we can easily do that. And we have the same apparatus for our laser systems. So we work with items as large on a standard basis as the 15 inches down to something that's 1/4 of an inch in diameter or less. And the indexing systems are scalable. Once you put in the diameter of the item, then it's going to index that part around and give you a seamless mark 360 degrees.
And you guys create your own substrates too, correct? Most people, when they think about engraving, their first initial thought is jewelry, watches, working on metal, but we've seen a lot of applications here that we produce for different trade shows with your acrylics, your multicolored acrylics that you provided us.
Absolutely. We've got an offering of about 1,200 products that are specifically engineered to either work well with rotary engravers, CNC equipment, or the lasers. So we've got solutions for indoor, outdoor, different temperature range, flammability, as well as a wide range of color combinations. And we can do custom colors, custom thicknesses. Since we manufacture the substrates, we can address customers' needs when they're out of the box even. But in our laserable wood range, those are perfect materials for digitally printing with a UV printer to fabricate iPhone wooden cover or even a printed cover. 3D modeling, postcards, digitally print the postcard, cut it out with a laser, do some embellishing with a laser. So the offering of substrates that we have is mind-boggling across the different industries, whether it be industrial metal plates or, like you say, glass items, leather items, plastics.
Yeah, and you guys have, we've obviously been partners for a while with great connectivity. You guys have also vetted the materials that you manufacture with the Mimaki platform and the inks that we offer. And I believe in your catalog, you have a very clear and defined, materials that work well with our ecosystem on our side, on the digital printing side, so that our customers know if they want to digital print something on your material, what material to get. And what the result should be, and you guys are always adding to that.
Absolutely. Our engraving source book, there's an array of icons on each page for the different materials, and you can clearly identify the materials that are UV friendly, UV print friendly, with the logo with the dots of ink on it. Same way with whether it's indoor, outdoor, surface, second surface engraved. Those all are icon driven, so it's very easy just to flip through the catalog and boom, that meets the process, it meets the UV conditions that I'm looking for, and it meets the ability to process with a CO2 laser. So we've tried to streamline that selection process as much as we can, even to the point that our equipment comes with the laser settings already in for the materials by name, and there's a chart in the catalog that gives you starter settings if you're trying that material for the first time, to help you get in a good success and be in the ballpark with your settings.
I wanted to circle back to the software that you guys produce, because not just focusing on the simplicity of it or the ease of use, some of the systems that you guys have created will really help out designers like me for creating cut lines or building making sure you get the right design for what you're working on.
Yeah,
not just patterns, but curvature of different patterns that you can get on whatever different object you're working on.
Right. I mean, the software that we market, we have several different levels of software. Our professional level software is going to be Gravostyle laser style. And I say that because it really has two different sides, or two faces. I can take the same design, and if I'm going to send that over to my laser, design it, send it output to the laser, click one icon, and it will convert that job for going to a CNC based router. So for processes like ADA signage, where you may want to use the router to perform the Braille element of the sign, and then use a laser to cut out the tactile lettering and cut out the outer profile of the sign, it makes it seamless to pop between those. Our softwares also nicely integrate with Fine Cut, or our machines do. So you can drive the machine straight from Fine Cut 9 in the case of the lasers. And but the software also allows you to import in graphics in about 26 different formats. So EPS, JPEGs, bitmaps, GIFs, TIFFs, etc. And then convert those from raster images to line art and back again, if you like. So it is very powerful software, and a lot of its power comes from the fact that it is truly designed to be engraving and cutting software.
Yeah, just to brag on you guys, the ability of your software to take like a very low resolution JPEG image and convert that into a very detailed cut line for our purposes, it's very intuitive, it's very easy to use, and I sometimes have used that for my graphics work, not just for cutting, but just because I know that your software can get a more accurate line for what I'm looking for from a low resolution image for what I'm working on, like Adobe products.
Right. Particularly where you're working with something like a vinyl cutter or a flat cutting table, you need for the software to be powerful so that you don't have a lot of cleanup to do.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah, and obviously the connectivity that we have, you mentioned Fine Cut, that's a software that we develop on our end. You guys have connectivity with that now. So now if you have a print and cut workflow like a UCJV or one of our CG cutters, or if you have a UJF, you can use the Fine Cut plugin to drive your laser engravers so that you can add a completely different dimension of cutability. We produce these little pins and tassel hangers or whatever for trade shows, and these were produced very easily with using the connectivity between your software and our software, and the fact that we can put registration marks on, the machine reads it, does all the work for you, and makes it really easy. And you guys also offer connectivity for production through like a barcoding workflow, where you can actually capture the data through either a cloud-based or local software server, and it will pull up the job so that your operator going from the printer knows that they're getting the right job on the cutter and they're not miscutting their object or ruining the job.
Right. Yeah, we've put a lot of focus on simplification in the software, both being powerful but also easy to use. And by doing that, we've, in some of the softwares, built wizards in so that common tasks that you need to do, the software will step you through it, but also to integrate things like barcode readers. So if you're in a retail environment, you've got multiple locations, you can set up your job saves to engrave the personalized products based on the barcode of the item itself, so that your clerk just picks the item up, scans the barcode, it opens the job up up in the software, they simply fill in the name, the date, and hit go, and it sends it over to the machine. So that's simple up to true workflow integration, in which we're using scripting or going out and fetching data based on a traveler sheet or a PO number to populate the context that's going to be engraved on a particular part.
Yeah, one of our more what's the word? Fun trade shows that we've had with you guys was the one where we were showing off the luggage tag workflow,
yes,
where people could come up to our different
Personalize
desks.
it,
Yeah, personalized luggage tags. They could write their names, add a computer, and you could see the process of sending that job directly to the engraver sitting right next to them. But seeing the speed up close and the interconnectivity between our software and your software and the different machines it's really something else.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
a fun and changing market, and we're integrating robotics as well. So when we look at more industrialized applications, we're integrating loading, unloading, fully automated with robotics.
Right.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about integration, but I want to kind of say this from our end as well. You know, when you look at your product's a really well built product. The Mimaki line is really well built, and when you look at it, it can be a little bit intimidating because it looks industrial. It looks like something that you would need to have an extensive amount of training and whatever to operate. But reality is, it's real easy, and with the amount of time that both our company has spent to put in preset settings to get you as close as to what you're trying to accomplish with some minimal interaction. You guys have done the same thing on the other side with the lasers. You know, we used your material here, this wood material. We just go into the software, we tell it we're using this material, all the presets are in there, so we don't have to worry about the intensity of the laser or anything else. It's going to do exactly what we want it to do. So, you know, we really appreciate how simple you guys have made it, and the fact that it's interactive on both sides. It's been fantastic to see the different things that people can come up with.
Yeah, and that durability is something that is a commonality between our companies. That's one of the things that was really attractive when we came together. Is you know, over time, if a piece of equipment is built to last, built to perform to high standards in a high production environment, it has to be durable. And so our machines are, if anything, overbuilt. They're very rigid, as are your machines. And what that means is that in 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years even, those machines are still holding their tolerances. They're still nearly as precise as they were the day that you received it. And that's what you need. That's what you need for consistency and quality, bottom line.
Yeah. It makes it easy for designers that don't normally run the equipment to go in there and
anything that makes my life easier. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yep. So it is an intimidating look, but it's a payoff for sure.
Most of the systems, most of the printers that we work with, you get the same effect. You see a large machine, it is intimidating. You see a new software, it is intimidating. But once you actually just focus in on something that your company wants to do, it becomes a little easier.
It is. I mean, you're faced with the same challenges we are. Your equipment is so flexible that you can use it in many different applications. The important thing is to qualify it for the customer's core application, get them comfortable doing that at startup, and then you've got time to expand and start to apply the equipment in other markets or other products. But when you focus on the core, it's really not a difficult startup.
Yeah. So speaking of versatility and the range, I want to touch on a subject real quick that we get a lot of questions about. We get a lot of questions about Braille, and I want to bring it up with you specifically because you guys know that market real well. And I'll preface it with this: people ask us all the time, can you digitally print Braille drops? And the answer to that question is absolutely. You can do it with UV curable technology, whether it's Mimaki technology or some other technology that's available in the market. So the accuracy is the most important thing there. And you brought up a key thing, the repeatability, the fact that your machine is built really well, ours is built really well, and that accuracy maintains itself over the life cycle of the product very consistently. And we know that consistency is the most important thing when it comes to things like ADA signage and Braille, because that drop has to be a very specific pattern. It has to be laid down in a very specific spot. The doming of that drop, once it's cured, has to fit within the ADA compliancy. And we found that that process on the digital side, although we are really good at doing it, it's not really cost effective for a lot of customers because of the amount of time that it takes, because you have to build up those droplets of ink. And we're talking about very, very small drops of ink. So on your end, you guys offer a process for doing it mechanically, and it marries really well with our technology. And I wanted to get your take on that, because people hear our side of it all the time, and why we don't really promote it, and we push them towards your product. But if you don't mind, I'd like to put you on the spot a little bit and maybe talk about the Braille functions on your end, and why the mechanical process is, at least today, a much more lucrative and better workflow for customers trying to do Braille.
Good. Yeah, I mean, Braille is something we've been doing for many years. We employ a process called raster Braille. It's a patented process in which we're drilling a pocket that's a very specific diameter and depth in the material, and then we're coming back and inserting a sphere in there. And in many instances, that sphere is friction fit and stays in nicely. With other materials that aren't pliable, they're more rigid. Some of the acrylics, particularly any metals, if we're putting it in stainless steel, or even if we're putting it in glass, we'll use an adhesive assist method in which we drill a little bit larger pocket, put a piece of film tape down, then the machine shoots the bead in, cutting a disc of tape out that holds it securely in. You peel away the strip of waste tape, and that's, you're done. But it is a process that's preferred because of durability. It's very consistent. It's easily repeatable. When we start trying to stack ink and cure it, we get into some difficulties with consistency and forming the radius dome to meet the 1/32 spec, and also durability, particularly when the signs are going to be exposed to UV or humidity cycling. When you start thermally cycling the substrates, you start working the adhesive loose. So over time, that sign, very well made, depending on the substrate, fail much faster than you would like. So the process that we have, in which we're putting down the tactile lettering, cutting the profile of the lettering, weeding it, drilling and inserting the raster spheres in the pocket, works very well. It's also much faster. We can do a complete men's room sign in about 2 minutes, start to finish, with the tactile lettering and doing the raster Braille. To print that same sign is going to take significantly longer, and then you may have long-term durability questions. Some substrates, the adhesion is great on them, but oftentimes customers want a specific substrate as part of the sign, and that's, it's not always true that the adhesion is that good across a range of substrates.
Yeah, and we've seen the same thing on our side with the Braille. We talked about primers earlier, right, and testing. You guys have a mechanical process that allows you to go to those metal surfaces or those wood surfaces, or really anything that you can drill a hole into real quickly. The digital process for us, where we know we can do it, and the accuracy of the Mimaki technology can do the doming really well. It does take a little bit more time, obviously, because we're printing, and then we have to print again, and we have to do that however many times it takes us to build it based on the profile and everything else that we're doing. So it may be time prohibitive for our customers to produce, if they're doing a hotel, for example, and they have to do signs for every room in that hotel. It's a new build out. It's going to take a long time for them to do that digitally. So for us, we're really excited to be able to say that the Braille is an option, but at the same time, the connectivity with your software and the function, the fact that you guys have a patented process, really makes things easier for our customers. So I would encourage anybody that has that question or has asked that question to us to check out the Gravotech lineup, the website, and check out the offering there, and you'll see that you can do a lot of digital and mechanical combinations together that will become probably way more lucrative for you in the long run than just trying to do one mechanical or one digital.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the equipment runs hand in hand. For someone that's doing ADA signage that has a digital printer and a router table to do the Braille process, it's a very lucrative endeavor. It's one of the most profitable areas out in the market. You're able to take a piece of tactile lettering and a piece of plexiglass that you've got a couple of dollars in, print it, apply the raster braille to it, and it's an $85 to $125 sign. And there's a demand for it out there, and there's a demand for people that need to buy them by the thousands to meet construction needs. So
Yeah.
it's a perfect process. We're also doing the print and cut process, so that you're using the same digital print file, PDF, to run your print process, and then turn right around and rip that off to the engraver or laser to cut out the profile of the sign.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, we've been speaking with Anthony Harris from Gravotech.
Right.
He is going to stick with us. We have a live chat window. We have an option for you to present some questions to us live in this broadcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, check out our website. Check out Gravotech's website. Anthony, where would someone go if they want to get some more information about the Gravotech product? Obviously, you can go to the Mamaki's website and you can see the equipment. Right. But you guys do a lot of applications videos like us. So where would the customers interact with you at that level?
On YouTube, you can go to Gravotech North America, or you can go to Gravotech Marking SAS, or our two web channels on YouTube. You also can go to our US website at www.gravotech.com.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming on with us. Please, come back anytime. We're going to have Anthony come back at the end for our Q&A section. Right now, we're going to switch over to talk to ITNH in a little bit, but first, we're going to have a commercial about our double glitter effect that we saw earlier. This is from our tips and tricks videos that we posted online last week. Please follow us on social media for more of those videos. I think some of our videos we showed the raised clearing effect with the 2.5D printing. For all information on that, follow us on social media, go to our YouTube. All that's going to be online. And we'll be back in a second.
Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Mackenzie, and I'll be going over how to glitter with the UJF series. After the jig is printed, align your substrate inside the jig parameters. Then head back over to Rasterlink to prep your first special plate file. Now we will create a special plate for primer. On the toolbar, select the Special Plate button. Make the following changes. Under the ink option, select Primer and leave it at 100%. Under Created Area, select Valid Pixel. Click Create. You can now see an additional job was created with the label Primer. Next, we will want to change the UV settings. Click the Properties button on the toolbar. Then click the Setup button. A new window will appear. Select the UV Mode tab. Check the option for Matte Print. Change the luminance to 30%. This will ensure the jetted primer not to cure all the way, which will act as a glue for the glitter to adhere to. Once you press OK, the job will go from yellow to gray. Lastly, you will need to change a few settings under the quality option in the toolbar. I have had great results using the profile UV-PET version 3.5. Select that option at 1200 by 1200 resolution. Change the pass to 20 and overprints to 2. Then send your file to print. Make sure your substrate is securely fastened to the bed. You want the substrate to remain in the same exact spot. This will ensure perfect alignment if additional elements will be printed onto the substrate to complete the final printed project. Once finished printing, apply glitter to the areas where the primer is printed. Mix the glitter with a small amount of water in a cup. This will help the glitter from getting everywhere. To apply the glitter, I have found using a sponge-like applicator works best. I'm using the foam cleansing swabs you might use to clean your print heads. Dip the applicator into the mix of water and glitter. Scoop a large amount of glitter from the bottom of the cup, then press it against the wall of the cup to drain the excess water. You want the glitter and water to form a thick paste-like substance. The glitter will not adhere as well to the primer if an excessive amount of water is present when applying it to the substrate. But don't worry, if this happens and you are not achieving an even layer of glitter in certain spots, running the primer plate again can fix that. Yes, I said it, double glitter. Carefully apply the glitter using the applicator onto the substrate. Gently smooth the glitter over the areas of primer in a circular motion. This is when your mind will be blown. The glitter clings to the primer like a magnet. Use this technique to cover all areas of the primer. If needed, scoop and strain additional glitter from your cup and apply. After you have glittered to your heart's content, use a wet, lint-free cloth to remove the additional glitter. Gently wipe over the glittered primer along with any areas where the glitter should not be. Check the edges where the substrate is taped to make sure there are no clumps of glitter sticking to the tape. Then, take a dry, lint-free cloth and gently wipe over the entire substrate to dry and soak up the leftover water. Our final step is a clear ink top coat. Of course, we will be making it a glossy finish. I always use a clear ink layer on top to protect the glitter and extend the longevity of the glitter's lifespan. Think of it as sealing in the glitter, plus the gloss makes the glitter pop even more. To do this, select the desired file and click the Special Plate tool in the raster link toolbar. Select the clear option at 100% and select Valid Pixel, then Create. After the special plate is made, select it and click the Properties button in the toolbar. Click Setup, a new window will appear. Then click the UV Mode tab and select Glossy Print. Click OK. Next, click the Quality button in the raster link toolbar. The profile and resolution, generic PVC, version 3.5 at 600 by 600 resolution, or the profile name for clear gloss print at 600 by 600 resolution. For my project, I ran the gloss plate 2 times to achieve the effect of the honeycomb I was looking for. Once you have made your selections, execute your print. If you would like to see more tips, tricks, and techniques, check out our website at www.mimakiusa.com.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. That was a commercial or tips and tricks video about the double glitter effect that you can get with our UJF printer. That was from one of our application specialists, Mackenzie. We don't allow her on camera because we think that she is too good and would take my job from me. Without an audience, I am nothing. So
she does make some fantastic applications.
Oh, undoubtedly, of course.
So to that point, definitely check out the videos.
Yes, all of our tips and tricks videos are online. We have one on 2.5D printing, different print cut technologies that we have with our roll cutters, the pattern effect that you can get working with our textile printers and fine cut and raster link. All those videos and other applications videos that you've seen from our other lives and some that you haven't seen us promote on our lives, all of those are on YouTube, on our website, available to teach and really just encourage encourage everyone to make their own applications at home. And with that, we are going to switch over to talk to our next guest. We have our partners over at ITNH. We have Mike and Mark over there on live. Are you there with us?
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Could you tell us a little bit about ITNH for anybody who's not familiar?
Sure. Be happy to. So ITNH is an inkjet distributor and servicer. We've been around since 1993, which seems like eons for digital inkjet years. And we've been proud partners of Mimaki since 2001. Sold a JV4 way back in the day, almost 20 years now. And since then, we've gone on to sell a lot of different Mimakis for a lot of different applications. And a big focus, especially over the last 15 years, has been direct to substrate UV curable flatbed printing. And it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch the industry grow, watch Mimaki grow with technology over the years. And here we are in 2020 with just amazing technology that is capable of so much.
Yeah.
You guys have brought up, because you've been a partner with us for so long, and this episode is all about personalization. This industrial product section is all about personalization. So what does personalization look like to you guys in 2020?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Having been in it now for so long and watching it develop, I've really seen it grow and understand it a lot more. I think everyone, a lot of the early adopters have kind of done a lot of experimentation to see, what gets people captivated. And I think back originally, personalization meant add your name. We have a product, you want to personalize it, we can add your name, we can engrave your name, now we can print your name. But in the years that have gone by, and as customization and digital inkjet technology have come so far, it's really a lot more now. It's really just about making a product unique for you. And we've seen, a lot of our customers, from global brands down to small cottage industry, work with things like using the embellishments that Mimaki can offer, from printing textures to printing clear gloss, or even now printing silver. Using these embellishments to just make a product unique for a customer, or allowing colors to be changed in graphics or sized differently or manipulated, or even offering customers to upload custom graphics and so forth. So today's technology is capable of so much that it's just so much more than quote unquote adding your name. So that's where we've seen it develop.
Yeah, our software is always updating. Our technology is always updating. Like you said, the silver ink is more of a newer technology for us. So we're always just trying to keep up. So we're interested to see how production has kept up with that as well.
To Mike's point too, not only has it changed in terms of the materials that you can print on, things have gone crazy over the years. If it's printable, if it's an object and it's printable, people want something printed. You can personalize your pens, your golf balls, your golf clips. You can do pop sockets. You can do it's up to your imagination. If it's out there, you want to personalize, Mimaki has a machine that can do it for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that we've been in this space for a really long time. We were the first to market with a lot of different things. We've got the white ink. We were first to market there. We've pioneered the LED curing technology so that the substrate doesn't necessarily have to be able to sustain high temperatures and very intense light. We spent a lot of time and effort developing over the years, and it's interesting to have seen. I'm also aging myself, I guess, a little bit here by seeing where it's come digitally from pad printing and screen printing, which is really where a lot of this has really come through. But even with those, you're dealing with one color at a time. With digital, you can manipulate the color digitally. You can create whatever you want. I can do one object, or I can do many objects just in time, exactly what I want when I want it. And it's really interesting to see the different ways that people have leveraged the technology that we've developed and the software, to Lewis's point. So I guess one of the big questions that comes up a lot on our end is, these little items. You go to Etsy or Amazon, these little pop-up stores online, or even a kiosk at a mall. Remember malls when we can go out in public?
No, I don't.
And you could buy these little things, and they're not very expensive. So one of the questions we get a lot, and we feel like it is, but from your end as an integrator and someone that helps companies grow and get started, can personalization be profitable, and what does someone need to consider when they're looking at getting into this type of printing and embellishment?
Yeah, no, great question, Mike. In my opinion, personalization is how you become profitable. because what we see out there in the industry is that customers, the end users, consumers, they get excited when we can be creative, when our customers can be creative and offer personalized products, and they've seen low price resistance. In fact, oftentimes our customers who are doing the printing come back and say, we can't believe, our customers' willingness to pay for the products. And I think that's because people, they like the uniqueness, they like the creativity that printing from the Mimaki can offer. So, so really, it's kind of how you take a commodity product like an everyday, accessory in life, whether it's a wallet or a keychain or whatever, and how do you add value to that? How do you make it something that people want to show their friends and family? And using a Mimaki printer to customize it is really the way. So what we see is personalizing is a way to make things profitable in today's world, and take an everyday commodity and add a lot of value to it fairly simply and very quickly.
And my daughter is a walking billboard for that, because anything that is personalized, she will buy and pay top dollar for.
Yeah.
If it's a frame for her dogs, she will get it printed with their names on it, the dates or whatever. And it's neat, it's cool.
Yeah.
And it adds value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up testing that you guys do on different, 4 different production lines. I know like the testing that we do here is much different. I think we brought up the print solution specialist that we have here and my applications team that we have here. When we're testing, can our printers work on different substrates that companies give us? We're working on one object just to see if that will work. You guys, completely different. When you're testing on something, you're always looking at what a production line of this will look like, printing multiple at the same time, getting a company ready to print. This is a different beast altogether that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to learn more about that.
That's true. I think that testing is critical, and one of the things that Anthony brought up with the engravers is how versatile everything is these days, whether it's the engravers or the printers. And that leads to a lot of opportunities. And so with that comes the other side of the coin, in that we have to be careful and make sure that everything is thoroughly thought through and is ultimately going to be a good solution. And that all for us, it starts with a conversation with the customer right up front and talk about the product they want to use and print on, or the products, if there's more than one, many times there are. And a thorough discussion of, okay, what is that product going to be used for in the world? How does it have to perform? Sometimes they know exactly, and they bring us all their specifications and requirements. And sometimes that type of conversation leads them to ask themselves questions and say, okay, I have to think about these things. So ultimately, after a thorough conversation, we can then find the right Mimaki solution so that the product will perform correctly. Then the second part, as you started to get to, Lewis, is that we have to go and understand what are the production requirements. And Mimaki has a family of products, which is fantastic. It helps customers get into the business and then grow their business with so much consistency across the product line. But even at the start, we have to understand production needs and requirements and how that business is going to run, so that we can match up the best solution to keep up with production and allow some room to grow, and hopefully a good foundation for long-term future growth. And with that comes the tooling, for the fixtures and jigs, and even some of the software modifications that we can make at ITNH to help sort of automate that process even further, if you want a web to print type solution, or just a very simple data merge, so that you can print a lot of different images on one bed load.
And to add to Mike's conversation on the testing part too, Mimaki's done a great job with the ink sets.
Right.
If you're looking for flexible inks, there's an application for that. If there's a hard set of inks, there's an application for that. There's so many different variables that we will test here at our facility, just to make sure that the end result is what you're looking for.
Right.
It's not going to scrape off. It's going to be flexible enough to be cut. There won't be any chipping.
Right.
All those, end user requests that are needed and have to be answered.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, we spent a lot of time developing the ink in tandem with the technology so that it works really well. And we do have a larger portfolio of UV inks compared to some of the other technologies. And that leads me to kind of a bit of a question here, maybe some advice that you can give our viewers today. You mentioned your daughter, if it can be personalized, she wants it in her pocket. You know, as we've become a more mobile society, everybody's got a phone. Most likely it's one of two, maybe three brands. They get a tablet. They've got something, some accessory that goes along with it, whether it's a headset or something like you mentioned earlier that it gets attached to the phone. And everybody wants that personalized because it helps them identify that product. So the hyper-personalization movement that we've seen on our end, what kind of advice do you have for people that are looking to get into this market to prevent them from saying, oh, I can do this, and oh, I can do this, and start grabbing just about everything under the sun that can be printed? And how do you narrow their focus down to get them started successfully so that they don't run into the inevitable, oh, that didn't work so well, and they get frustrated? What kind of advice do you have there?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot to consider, and it can be overwhelming for customers, especially as they're learning about the technology and they're seeing all the potential, and they can't help but have all the, you know, the epiphanies and thoughts that are like, wow, there's so much potential. So at ITNH, what we really try to do, again, we have that sort of initial conversation with customers, and we try to use that as a template to create and maintain some priorities and say, you know, here's the idea, here's what you want it to do, here's what's going to pay the bills and grow your business. So let's prioritize the solution around that. We can work with our customers when it comes to things like, you know, the ROI and the payback plan and so forth, so they understand that this equipment is going to be a successful venture for them. And so we try to center it around that and keep the priorities in plain sight, so we don't lose track of, okay, here's what we're trying to do. And I, you know, I've had some folks come to us and say, well, we have thousands of SKUs, what do we do? And I say, pick 5. You know, you have to start somewhere. You're not going to start with 2,000 SKUs and say, hey, we offer digital printing now. You know, it's something that you have to grow over time and have a plan for. And so we work with our customers to really keep that focus.
Yeah, great.
And also, Mike, one thing that we mentioned too is we'll say no at some point. If there's a product that comes in, we've had years of experience, they're looking for a solution that isn't viable. It's maybe a short-term solution, yes, but if they're looking for a long-term and it just won't work, we will tell them that through experience that we can't do it. And that's the most important thing, the factor of the experience that we have here too.
No, set the expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're also sorry, we're also familiar with pivoting people to the different machines that will work for them. It's like something that they think will work on a certain machine that they already have or that they want, to pivot them sometimes, like the application will work for them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is we get a lot of questions that come in, and we sometimes we find a customer comes in with the mindset that they're going to get the biggest table that they can get, and we find that the small product's really the better fit for them, and vice versa. And then with the different inks that are available, the flexible, the rigid that you mentioned earlier, but we also have the white, the clear, the primer. We have the metallic silver inks. So there's any number of different things that you can do with the product, and it's really easy to get lost in the sea of possibilities with the lineup. So it's great that you guys are having those conversations with customers, and we're going to have you guys stick on for a few more minutes. We got a couple more questions for you, but for those of you that are watching, we're talking with Mike and Mark from ITNH about personalization and in running a successful business or getting into a business. So if you have any questions for them, don't be shy. Put them in the chat window. We'd love to hear some questions from the audience. Let's talk about scalability for a second. You know, our products, we mentioned earlier to Anthony, they look industrial, they look a little bit intimidating, but once you get one, most cases you end up getting a different one. And maybe it's not because you need to repeat the exact same job. Maybe it's because you want to run this one with a particular ink set and a particular configuration, and you want a second machine with a different ink set and different configuration. So what's been your experience as customers become successful, and what you guys do, or what that scalability looks like for your customers? Yeah,
that's a fun one, because we get the question all the time, especially when folks are buying their first printer. And they say, if I'm growing my business like I'd like to, I'm starting with this specific model and I want to upgrade to a larger one, let's say in a year. Will you take my printer back as a trade-in? And I always chuckle when I say, that's always something that we're willing to consider. But every time, almost inevitably, when our customers do grow, and then they come back and they want to investigate other printing options, bigger, faster, whatever, they never want to trade their printer in. After having used it for 6 months, a year, whatever the time has been, they say, oh, no, this is super valuable. I just want to buy more. I don't want to trade anything in. So it's kind of makes us chuckle. But as I sort of alluded to just a few minutes ago, I think one of the most, the biggest keys for us with the Mimaki product is the fact that it is such a great line that is scalable. And with every customer, it's sort of their own philosophy working with us and their exact workflow of how it makes sense to scale up. We've got folks who just continue to buy the same model time after time after time, and they just grow their business. And then we have other customers that really see the value in mixing and matching among the different UJFs or adding a JFX or multiple JFXs or whatever based on their product balance or their turnaround times, whatever the case may be. And the key is that it's a consistent ink across the platform that you can use, Mimaki's rigid LH ink or one of the flexible inks on all of the printers. So you're not limited to, the solution on one printer. So with every customer, it can vary, and we've got folks that might buy a printer and it's very useful for them, and they continue to use it over years. And then we've got other folks that have bought their first printer and never looked back, and before you know it, they've got 5 or 10 or 30 printers. It's really amazing.
Amazing.
For the customers that you've been dealing with on a daily basis, what current market trends do you see growing when it comes to personalization?
There's a lot right now. What I think it was happening anyway, and the pandemic is really probably just expediting it and making it grow so much more quickly. But it's the online, Etsy type, whether it's Etsy or not, that online finding something unique. People are I think, as a shopper, very comfortable at this point with going on, finding a product that they want, whether it's a gift, whatever, and using online. So online selling today is huge. Retailers are, right now, of course, that's sort of taking a back seat, but they're becoming more and more comfortable as the machines are easier to maintain and easier to use, even in a retail setting. So they're starting to add that, and we'll see maybe in 2021 if that gets back on track. Some of the markets, weddings, baby, anything baby, baby clothes, baby accessories. We're seeing a lot of customized packaging now. A lot of folks are just more focused on customizing the packaging. This is such a big part of the presentation of a product. So sometimes it's not even the product that's customized, but the packaging, especially in the gift market. Holidays, that's one that
it's exploding.
Yeah,
especially with the silver now being part of the 7151.
Yeah,
you can do a chrome glossy finish with CMYK. You can make a really rich gold. You can do holiday reds, holiday blues that are really super reflective and sharp, and it's as simple as printing in a couple minutes.
Exactly.
It looks dynamite.
Yeah, so fast. And we've got guys that, I always think of the big holidays, but there are customers out there that bounce from holiday to holiday, starting right at Valentine's Day and on to St. Patrick's Day. And then
we were laughing, any day that ends in Y is pretty much a holiday nowadays.
And with online presence, people want to get custom, whether it's for the party that they're going to have or for a gift that they want to give.
Graduations are huge. We just went with that push.
Yeah, and so that's a big market too, and pets always, accessorizing dog collars and dog bowls and you name it. Got to get National Dog Day yesterday, right? So you got to get the puppy.
I got one for sure.
Oh, that was yesterday. God,
yes, so that's a big market too. It's creeping into every part of society, and it really is almost becoming, where I think consumers want to see it. They almost expect to see it.
Mhm.
That they have an opportunity to make something unique to them. You know, something that they can show off.
Yeah, and that's what's driving the applications as well, because now people are trying to push the envelope what they can print on. And that's where the testing comes involved, and that's where Mimaki has a great job with the software and the jigs that we can get. It's really a great solution.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that for a second here, because you brought up a couple of really good points. The Etsy online e-commerce type of customer. You know, I've mentioned it a couple of times in this broadcast that the product looks industrial, but we've got a lot of technology built under the hood to make it real easy for you. So we've got nozzle check units, we've got nozzle recovery systems, we've got cleaning mechanisms, we've got all these checks and balances, we've got a laser guided system so that if your substrate's not perfectly flat and there's a danger of the printer crashing into it, it can automatically adjust. Or we've got crash guards on it to prevent it because we're putting onto a hard, box, for example, like this clutch bag here. So you guys have customers that start off real small in their garage or in a spare bedroom and scale up, and you can run a successful business out of that. And I think you guys had mentioned in a previous discussion about a recent install, like a 6042, where that was exactly the case. So I wanted to get your perception on a customer that's looking at this going, I can't get into this because it's just too much for me. All I've got is a spare bedroom or a garage space. What would you say to a customer like that?
Yeah, that happens all the time. And we did just have one just a week or two ago that it was a woman that was hand painting custom signs for decor, interior decor type signs, and finding that she was very, very successful online. People loved them, and realizing how not scalable it really is when you're doing it by hand, and she could only go so far with it. Started looking a little bit into inkjet printing and so forth, and seemed a little skittish, but invited them to Mimaki Demonstration Center, and went over the application. They saw just how quickly they could print what she painted, that in just a couple of minutes what would take hours to do by hand. And that's when you see the jaw drop and the excitement really take over. And then it's just a matter of understanding, okay, these machines are big, but they're not that big. They're industrial, but they're office oriented, and they're not factory floor type machines necessarily, especially on the smaller side. So they will oftentimes, with the right considerations, fit right into people's homes. In fact, this woman brought it into her home and set up basically a home studio. We have shipping and moving partners that will help assist, bring those types of things into a house. And really, again, focus on, because for an individual starting with their first printer, it's obviously a major investment, and we go over and carefully review the ROI and what the payback on the machine is, and what her business forecast is. I mean, we offer everything that we can to support that, so she can make her best decision on if it's going to be a good purchase. And I think oftentimes it shows that it's a wonderful, if you have the sales and you can generate the business, then it's almost always a no-brainer.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we really appreciate everything you guys are doing. At the manufacturing level, we develop the technology, but we don't have the ability to necessarily dive in as deep as you guys do with the customers. So we really appreciate you and all of our dealers that help the customers out there, because it's really exciting to see businesses, people, supporting their families. It's really, really exciting from this level to see that happen. So thank you for your efforts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So can you guys give us any information about your company, any links that you guys can give the customers to go to learn more about what you guys can provide for people?
Absolutely, happy to. Our website is chock full of resources, especially for folks just starting out. We've got all types of videos, we've got ebooks, we've got blogs that are focused on a lot of different topics, from major considerations in getting started, to financing, to what's new and what's hot. And of course, all the Mimaki printers and specs are on the site as well. And that's ITNH.com. ITNH.com.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have you stay on for our Q&A portion at the end. If you have any questions for Mike and Mark, put them in the chat. We have people monitoring it for our section at the end. If you've seen anything about our technology you want to learn more about, send those questions in. We encourage you all to go to our website to get more information about applications, machines that we work with,
what product to choose.
Different workflows, different inks, profiles for the machines. All the information is online. Please follow us, go to the website, get all the information for yourself. I think right now we can go on to a second commercial.
Yeah, so we're going to get set up for our live chat. For those of you that have stuck with us through the broadcast, thank you so much. Been a great conversation. The Mimaki lineup is one of the most versatile and most lucrative lines that we've mentioned earlier in the market. And if you're not in the market for a UV curable machine that does hyper personalization, and you're looking, maybe you've got an idea that sparked up in this conversation for something else, for textile or sign and graphics, we've got a wide range of products in those areas as well, even 3D printers. So check out our website, like Lewis mentioned. We're going to cut to a quick break so we can get set up for our live chat, and then we're going to come back and we'll take your questions live here. So we're back. Yeah. So great video there about the kebab. That's probably one of the most inquired about accessories that we have for our equipment.
That is one of the items I didn't realize that you could do with our machines or any machine. So once you figure out that that is possible, that is something to easily incorporate into making items, making applications ready to sell for your business. It's something anybody can market, right?
And a lot of people don't realize that the kebab is an accessory that can be easily put on the table and easily taken back off the table. It's a couple of quick adjustments to the control panel. You got to let it know you're actually putting it on there, so it lowers the table. When you put it on there, there's some quick mount points, just like the jigs. You plug in the cable, and then once you plug in the cable, you're ready to run.
Yeah, software-wise, there's no difference. You just click a separate screen that say, I've added the kebab, give me the extra controls. So simple to use, easy software, easy application. It's a great device.
So we're ready to go to our live chat now. We are going to
going through the chat, trying to figure out which questions we can answer right now. Lisa, are you there with us?
I am. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
So let's start with we had the very first question that we had in the chat window is actually for ITNH. They want to know, how do you keep track of jobs on larger orders?
Yeah, that can be handled a lot of different ways. Our company, to support Mimaki, ITNH has created some add-on software that will basically sort and order everything coming down the pipe, whether it's from the web or from the sales department or whatever, and keep it in different print queues so that printer operators can see sort of product by product or print design by print design, whether it's going to require white ink or silver ink or whatever the case might be. So really, software is the way that we keep track when, especially for some of our larger customers that might see, a few thousand orders when they come in on Monday morning that have accrued over the weekend. How does the art department not choke on that? And the answer is software. So we do our best to create a workflow that fits the customer's business. And, and that's not something that's usually required on day one, but as customized graphics grow and you have, mass amounts of customization, that's how it's handled.
We have a running joke, some of the designers here, of saving different final files, final file 1, final file 2, final file. I promise this is the last design file. We have gotten used to saving the print file. Once you've got the different design files ready to send to the printer, then you change the profile and adjust the number of buildup of images you want from the printer. That design file, being able to save that from our RIP software is helpful. I know Gravotech software has the same ability to save cut settings. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So when we save a file, really we're saving the parameters for the job run as well as the design itself.
Yeah, being able to save all those at the end of designing something has really been helpful for us.
Yeah, to Mike's point, I mean, it's software, right? That's the way that we're able to do it, whether it's an integration software that is provided through a company like ITNH, or it's a built-in. And on the rastering side, if we do a backup, it actually saves all of the profile information, the settings, everything else. So when you restore it, you get all of that back in. So
the version of the RIP software that you were using. Yeah.
Right. Great question.
Further on with that question, Mark and Mike, is this particular individual says they're going to continue to offer customization, one-off customization. What's the best way to associate that particular product on the tray to a specific piece of artwork?
Yeah, again, I think the answer is software. And when whether it's using, the Mimaki Rasterlink template maker, or whether it's using our add-on software that can be added on. It's you visually can see it populate into the pocket of the jig that particular product is going to be printed in. And sometimes even, customized graphics can still be multiple units. And so if it's going to take the next 10 spots in the fixture, then you'll see it populate the next 10 spots. If it's going to be the next 200, you'll even see it. If it goes beyond what that fixture can hold, it'll populate the next fixture underneath it with the balance. So it's really, again, it can be done a lot of ways. I don't think there's any one way to do it, but that's how we typically see it.
Yeah, on our end, we have some designers that lay everything out in Illustrator and nest everything within the art file itself and then bring it into Rasterlink to print it, or they use the jig function and bring in multiple files and have the jig function automatically nest those exactly where you want.
That always is determined on what application you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you do that in Fine Cut, sometimes you do that in the RIP software, Rasterlink, because of the different cut lines that you're getting
Mm-hmm.
with our, you use different cut lines and crop marks with those cut lines depending on what machine you're working on. So
Right.
that is always like determined on what application you're working on.
Right.
Yeah. And for us, we've got some tools built into the software as well that really become helpful in ADA signage, for instance, that allows us to create one template of a finished product, and then everything on that template is a variable. The pictogram or the graphic image is a variable. So we import in a list of the pictogram variables, the lines of text from a Excel spreadsheet or text file, and it generates one sign for each line of text on there. So much to what Mike was saying, we can create a full bed of signage, and if it exceeds that one bed, then it's going to continue to develop layers of unique signs all nested together, so that you just put in one sheet of material, run a full bed, put in the next session of material, and it automatically indexes to the next bed.
Yeah, and you can set up bed restrictions also within our Rasterlink software. If you're not filling the full bed, you can actually set the dimensions of the printable area so that when your next object that falls off that area, it needs to be printed, it doesn't get accidentally partially printed or anything like that. So we've got functionality. So Mike's right. I mean, for all of us, I think we all agree, right? Software is the solution to the to the problem here.
It is, and we're using our software to create fixtures to go on your flatbed printers for positioning, so that you have uniformity between processes.
Yeah.
So let's start with Mark and Mike with the next question. What are your recommendations to quickly learn the software quickly? You're brand new to the business and you want to ramp up as quickly as possible. What kind of tips, tricks, advice do you offer to do that?
Yeah, that's, everyone's a little bit different, and people want to tackle, a lot of stuff at a different pace. A lot of folks are starting with a different background and so forth. What we often stress to customers is learning how to operate and maintain the printers is very simple. Mike pointed out that so much of it is automated at this point. The printer is really good at doing most of the maintenance by itself, and it's got a lot of technology under the hood to monitor itself. So operating the printer is fairly simple. I think where folks have to be comfortable and have a background is on the digital graphics side, understanding digital files, the differences between one file type to another, or RGB versus CMYK. Having a little bit of background there is a great starting point, because learning the mechanics of the printers is really quite simple after a day or two of wrapping our arms around it. From there, it's again remembering the priorities and not getting overwhelmed with the massive scope of what you can do. Is what are we going to, what's step one, what's step two, to getting started and getting comfortable. usually that's done by controlling the products and the type of customization that you're going to offer on day one. You know, are you going to offer, you know, silver ink, clear gloss varnish, texture, you know, all types of special effects that can be done, or you're gonna start and build that up to where you're comfortable with it. And so we work with our guys and our customers to, you know, at a pace that they feel comfortable. When folks buy printers from us, we offer basically unlimited support. You call our team and you're gonna get somebody that's gonna guide you through and either refresh you if it was something that might have been reviewed during the installation, or if it's something that wasn't covered because it's maybe more of a specific thing or something that is advanced, then we can tackle it and provide a lot of post install support.
And to add to Mike, when I first started learning the equipment, our techs are amazing. We do offer training, obviously, with the equipment. We had a tech who really had to do a job that showed me quickly, and the software is so intuitive that it really is it's not as difficult as it seems. Mimaki does a great job with the raster links that, as long as you follow the fundamentals, it's like a flow chart. Check 1, check 2, check 3, check
wizard.
4. It's
Wizard.
very straightforward. And the hardest part probably is the files. Is just to make sure that the files get imported properly.
Yeah.
That's it. The machine itself, again, is very intuitive, and it really behooves not making mistakes. They'll let you know if you make a mistake, you know, and it does, you can't break it, quite frankly. That's the good thing. And you know, and Mike can hear that, you know, but it's as simple as a backup restore or some simple function and shutting down and starting up. So it really is a simple machine. It's intuitive, but there is some, you know, little nuances that we can help you along with, and you know, and there's a lot of tutorials out there too as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and our team over here, Lewis specifically, has spent quite a bit of time walking through the settings to your point, Mark, the you know, following that flow chart type of process. We don't ever really leave the interface in RasterLink. It's not a windowed version of the software. It's very you click the button and the interface adopts itself to whatever that function is. And Lewis and the team over here have spent quite a bit of time walking through those steps and explaining what the individual components are and getting you the right understanding of what's going to get you the result that you're looking for. So,
and for us, we've incorporated in the design software a lot of self-help. The instruction manual is built into the software. You can access it. If you hover over any icon, a question mark or a movie video reel is going to come up, and you just click on the video reel and it plays a short video that explains how to use that tool. So we've built a lot of self-help into the software, in addition to the fact if you've used other graphic design softwares, there's a lot of transferable skill that will just come right into using Gravostyle. And in the case of the lasers, we've built in a calibration wizard that allows you to put a piece of material in that you don't have known settings for, make a guess of your best guess at what the setting would be for it based on your experiences, and it's going to run a grid that will visually show you exactly what the best power and speed setting is for raster engraving or vector cutting through the material. So there's a lot of tools that are developed in to ease that ramp up process.
Nice. You mentioned designing. That really is it brings me to a question of my own. Do you have to be a designer to run these machines?
I don't know. What do you think, Lewis? Do you have to be a designer?
Can I answer that? Because I am not a designer by any stretch.
Lewis is having some audio technical difficulties, so we'll preface it with this: that Lewis is a designer that operates the equipment. I myself came from an analog side of things and have learned a little bit of design. I've seen a lot of designers through my years working with the technology that have been able to run the equipment very fluently. And I've seen a lot of people that have run equipment jump into some of the design software. And so I think the answer to your question, Lisa, is yes, you can do it regardless of where you're coming from. It's easy to get into it, and it's easy to understand both sides of that argument.
For us, we have customers that have very successful businesses that aren't graphic designers. They basically have figured out that if they can go to the internet and find an image that they like, a logo that they like, they can import that into the software and run it. Or there are companies that will do digitizing for you if you don't want to do that in-house, and pretty inexpensively now, and turn that right back around. You pull it into the software and run. So if you can spatially lay out things so that the text is aesthetic and the graphics are proportionally appropriate for the piece, it really isn't rocket science.
Okay, I think I should be back.
I can hear you. So as a designer, the conversation's about, do you need to be can a designer run the equipment, or do you need to be a designer in order to run the equipment?
No, you do not need to be a designer to understand the equipment. A lot of people here actually understand the equipment much better than I do as a designer. The learning curve is made so if you understand design software, it is easier to like make that transition. So it is easier on graphic designers, but anyone can learn this. It's not made for people having to design something and then send it to the printers. It's made for people getting artwork from others and sending that on. And there's a lot of stuff that doesn't have to do with design that is a separate learning curve, what inks to use, what substrates work with which primers, which how far the bed needs to be away for adjusting different settings on the printer. None of that is design specific. All of that is its own learning curve, working with all kinds of printers and laser engravers and all these large format devices.
Yeah,
so they all have their own languages. So that's what you need to focus on instead of design. Be kind to your designers. It is it is more helpful to have a designer.
Yeah.
Please hire and treat them well.
But I would say for anybody that's looking to get into this, you can get a license of Illustrator,
absolutely,
or a box copy of Corel, and you can be up and running within a matter of maybe even a couple of hours, depending on your proficiency with technology in general.
And our RIP software does come with all of our printers and have tutorials online for using them. I know Anthony did bring up the tutorial system that's built into their software, which is very helpful to me. Thank you so much for adding that for people like me.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Well, it's a great segue talking about software. Is there special software that's needed?
No, like Louis mentioned, the software that comes with the equipment. Now, you could argue that it is special software because it's manufactured by Mimaki or developed by Mimaki for the products, but it comes with the machine. So for anyone that's looking to get into this type of printing, we've got you covered. We give you everything you need right out of the box to get started. Really, you don't even need design software. You can take a photograph with your phone or a scanner, and you can print something on the equipment with the Rasterlink software that comes in the box. Now, as you scale up, you might find that the Rasterlink software gives you the ability to grow with the products, and you may find that you want to expand into other areas. There are a little bit more integration softwares that are available at higher levels. We even offer some of those for repeatability on like textiles and even on the industrial products for scaling into industrial things. But no, you don't need anything special out the box. You can really just run with a digital camera and what you get from us.
From the standpoint of lasers and rotary engravers, the Gravotech equipment is going to come with software as well. The lasers can run open source, so you could directly drive the laser from Corel or Illustrator. It will be provided with laser style. The rotary engravers and routers do require tooling considerations. So the software that drives those is more of a closed format or more of a proprietary software, in that Illustrator and Corel Draw don't generate tool paths with offsets based on the profile of the tool or the diameter of the tool. So Gravostyle will do that. So if I'm cutting out an object the software needs to calculate and know which cutter you have installed in the machine so that it physically can move that cut line over to render a finished piece that's exactly 4 by 6 inches, if that's the size of your workpiece, rather than a piece that's 4 by 6 inches less the width of the cutter. So there's some considerations when we look at routers and rotary engravers that the software is a little different. Again, it comes with the software that you need to do that. And if you're proficient in Illustrator or CorelDRAW, and that's where you find that you like to do your design, great, do the design there. If it's in Corel, we've got a DLL that will port the graphics directly between the programs. So you do your design in Corel, it pulls it through Gravostyle and outputs it to the machine. So we certainly have accommodated those needs.
I know we have our own tools that work with Illustrator, work with CorelDRAW. We have the fine cut tools and rationaling tools that are made for Illustrator and Corel, but you don't need to use those. Those are made to make it easier to translate artwork to our software is not necessary. I know, like creating a cut line, there is a button that just makes a cut line within that software. I know how to, with time and effort and just training myself, I know how to do that without that button, but that is something that just makes it easier. So that is just something that makes it more accessible to other people. Sure, that is, but it is not necessary.
Right.
For anyone who doesn't have that.
Mark?
I don't, yeah.
Oh, we got to the design wise. I'm not the designer, and I took a picture over the weekend, and I can download it as a PDF, load it up on a 151, and print on a plexi. You can crop, you can self-size it. It's really, like I said, intuitive. Once you do it a couple times, so it's really simple, and you don't need that. You know, I think to Mike's and Lewis's, if typically you'll get files that are already done for you. So that's 90% of the battle, close to it.
Yeah, and if you grow, you can add, you know, maybe you want to start out of the gate with some more advanced features that software can offer, but these are all things that can be added and grown. That it's not stuff that's required at the beginning. It's really up to you.
Yeah, we have the tips and tricks videos that we had mentioned before. One of the tips and tricks videos was patterning with fine cuts or raster link, using making that ready for textile printing. You can get that same effect. All of that was within the software, so you didn't really need design software. You can do that within the software with something that you've downloaded, a file that you've downloaded for the appropriate file type from Shutterstock or Adobe Stock or something like that. As long as you're using the correct file type, you can get the same effect from a lot of different things.
Great. We have, still talking about software, we have a question from the audience asking if we have a software system. And when I say we, I don't mean just Mimaki. I mean anybody that, Anthony, if you want to answer this too. Is there a software system or app where the final customer may upload their art from their phone or PC, or a process where that could be uploaded and the customer can approve digitally the final print?
There's a couple on the market that we know of that allow you to do proof, I guess, sign-offs, if you will. But I guess the question is a little bit more web to print workflow, which does require some additional technology. Typically, you would have to have a web developer develop the front end, or you'd have to have a website in a box company that's going to create a cart for you. There are different software technologies available on the market that can get you to I guess, a yes on that question. It's not something that we would provide in-house, but if it's something that you're interested in, it's something that you can certainly find information online that would allow you to integrate the file. So, if your customer signs off on it, the web to print systems that we've seen would allow the customer to click yes, and then it would automatically send the file to what we call a hot folder on our end, which would automatically populate it into the job queue. so that we know that the job's been approved and it's ready to be produced. So on our end, we can receive the file from one of those software platforms, but it's not something that we offer at this level for integration to create a storefront or something like that.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's that's the kind of stuff that we do, and we customize it to the customer's workflow needs, and virtually every time it's a little bit different. Oftentimes on a bigger scale, it's important to link up to their ERP so that orders can flow through their order process and then flow into our artwork automation software, and then ultimately to the printer. Many cases it's a web to print. Sometimes it's actually, we're shaking hands with the web software that consumers at home are using GUIs on the web to actually see and create the product that they want to ultimately order. We don't typically get that far because there's web designers out there that will blow us out of the water. They're so good. But we shake hands with them when that file is created, and we can go through whatever approval process, order, credit card validation process, whatever it has to happen. And then, as I was saying earlier, it'll flow to the right print queue. So if it's a product that's going to be printed with a certain process with, white down first and then color and then clear gloss, one product may have that, one doesn't. So they go to different print queues. So when the operator sees them coming in, they can keep it organized and they don't make mistakes. I think one of the keys to profitability on personalized printing is going quickly but not making mistakes, which is hard to do. But when you have the right software tools, that's what enables that. And in some cases, we even can print an order ticket that has barcodes and customer information on the order ticket. So all they're doing, operators are simply scanning barcodes that will populate the template on the computer screen, and then they just simply press print. They don't even have to use the RIP because the software sits on top of it and flows, like Mike said. The file will flow right into the raster link hot folder. So they don't even have to worry about that. All those settings have been saved and locked. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and it's really just a matter of how it's going to best fit each of our customers' workflows and their business.
And for Gravotech, we're very similar. We work with experts like ITNH to develop online content and interact with those buying platforms. From a retail standpoint, we've developed softwares that are picture driven, that for instance, for like the premium spirits industry or someone that has home shows, they can have a machine, have a tablet, and everything is picture driven, so that it's really designed to be a kiosk that stands alone in a retail environment, in which a customer can walk up, select an item off of the rack, touch a picture of that item on the screen shows the text superimposed over it. They simply type the sentiment or their name and hit go, and it shows them a picture or a movie of how to place the item in the machine, and then the machine engraves it. So it's really designed to be a self-service kiosk in a retail environment. So we address it a couple of different ways, but again, it's you bring the challenge to us, and then we'll help you work through with the solution, in the group.
Great. We have another software question. The question is there any software that can assist in copyright infringement? If a customer provides a custom graphic to us, how do we know that that design isn't already protected?
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Let me make a note on that.
I know there's software being developed, but off of the top of my head, I do not know of any that are in market available to people right now.
No, I mean, on our side, we typically will use services like Shutterstock or whatever to use for elements or whatever that we're designing for any type of samples, but we don't transfer those licenses to any of our sales channel or any of our customers. We use those in-house specifically for us. We do develop files where we provide the actual Shutterstock download number, if you will, for whatever element we use, and we provide those to, if it's a sales channel or if it's a customer and they want to recreate what we've done, we'll tell them what file we use and allow them to download it under their own license. But we don't have any way to verify if a file that came to us has been officially licensed at this level.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky question. I know some of our larger global brand type customers that are, retailing everywhere. They do have, it's not just the trademarks, also inappropriate or, information that would be, unbecoming for your product or your brand. A lot of different words, gang signs, there's a myriad of words and phrases and things that people don't necessarily want to print. And as an operator or as a business owner, you may have no idea that this particular thing is something that's bad or racist or whatever. So I know that the big guys out there do have these filters. And as far as trademarks, I think there may be something similar, but for the folks just starting out, I think you just have to use your best judgment. After doing this for over 15 years, just in the UV flatbeds, I mean, I've never come across a situation where, one of our customers was hurt by printing, unknowingly printing trademark type items. I mean, if you're printing Coca-Cola and Disney, it's going to bite you in the butt at some point. But if there's some random brands out there or so forth, either you probably just get away with it because no one's the wiser, but I haven't seen that be a problem.
Design-wise, Google. If there's something, if you get a file that is, Google image, but if you get a design file that is not vectorized, there's just a JPEG or a PDF, and you cannot edit that thing. That is not just someone sending you something that says, like, I don't want you to edit this because that is something that our company has made. But if it's just like a bare image, that a rasterized image, try and Google image search it or search for it yourself on different Shutterstock or different stock photo websites yourself. That's an easy way to try to find it. If someone else is using something that's plagiarized, it is probably easy to find yourself online. So
I mean, the best advice we can give you on that topic, I guess, is to verify through Google search, like Lewis said, or to simply ask the person that's sending you the file to provide a proof of their license to use that image from their account, and that's a quick way for you to verify.
That's kind of the way we address it as well. Is if you're doing a one-off for a customer and they brought you the artwork, that's a very different situation than if you're doing production runs of something that's branded or logoed. If you're doing that, then you're asking for trouble. If you're doing a one-off for the customer, we'll typically suggest that you go to that customer that provided the artwork and have them give you a document saying that they have the legal right to use that logo, or that they own that logo. It just offers for the retailer some protection against someone coming back on a one-off event, which is pretty unlikely.
Sometimes the larger companies don't even realize that they are asking for something that would be a copyright problem. I've gotten examples of large companies. No, shouldn't say it. Just large companies will send over like a JPEG image of their logo and say, we want you to use this in a file. Not realizing that they're asking me to vectorize and recreate their logo, which would be a copyright problem. Sometimes large companies can make problems like that. It is best to talk directly to their designers and ask, hey, I need the appropriate file, or the approved vendor file, or the approved customer file.
Or simply just have your customer fill out a disclaimer and sign off that, whatever they're providing you is their responsibility for licensing and everything else. And you're no longer responsible if it's being reproduced. It's a good question, though.
Offer one other suggestion. Brands of the World is another good resource on the internet. And then Somebody internally just texted me, Evan, texted me that there's a website for photography. I wasn't even aware of this. It's pdnonline.com. And it says it's a 13 image protection services for professional photography.
There you go.
Let me save that myself. I didn't know that.
See, we've used our resources here internally to get us an answer.
Look what Mimaki can do for you.
Beautiful.
Isn't that great? That's a great question. Very great question.
Glad Evan's watching.
Last question from the chat window. Ravi, he's asking, he says he's from Custom T-Shirts in Orlando, and he would like to know how he can use Mimaki wide format printers for T-shirt printing needs.
Oh, great question. So check out our live broadcast, actually the last one, which was all about textile decoration. And there's a segment in there with a company named Caesar that can give you some really good insight to how to do custom T-shirt decoration with a machine like our JV or our CJV lineup, which allows you to print directly to their transfer material. And it's not a substitution 100% for screen printing, but it's a really close alternative. And it allows you to also open up the possibility of offering decals, stickers, vehicle wraps, any number of different things with a Mimaki printer, as well as decorating T-shirts. So that's a really good resource there. Check out that last broadcast of the live series, and
that is up on YouTube.
Is on YouTube. And we also have a connection with them where they have additional resources. I don't have the information right off the top of my head, but it is in that broadcast, and you can check out their social media channels and also their website, which will provide you a lot of guidance on how to leverage the Mimaki technology to decorate on T-shirts. That's a great question, and thanks for asking, Robbie.
And that's it.
Well,
okay.
I think we went a little bit over the time we had originally planned. So thank you, everybody that has stuck with us through this broadcast. It's been a really good conversation. Mike, Mark, Anthony, fantastic to see you all on here. Thank you for joining us, especially in this virtual world that we're in. Really appreciate your time and your effort and all the things that you guys are doing to help the print community and help businesses either start or grow or stay afloat during these troubled times. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes if you want to have some last words to the audience here.
Thank you. Just stay healthy and continue on.
Okay. And once again, I want to thank Mimaki for inviting us today. ITNH certainly enjoyed being a part of it. And again, our website is itnh.com. All types of great content and educational resources.
Yeah, and if you need information about the Gravotech line on Anthony's behalf, you can check out MimakiUSA.com. We have the full line of products that they're offering. We have some great bundles as well. So if you have some interest in a print cut engrave workflow, check out the website, interact with our sales team. We can walk you through the process and put you in the right hands. And then, with that interaction with Gravotech, our products are available through the Mimaki sales channel throughout North America. So if you have some interest there, you can call companies like ITNH, and they'll be able to assist you with both the printer and the laser and engraving devices.
Yeah, and follow us on social media to keep up to date with other live webinars and live shows that we're doing. If you want to join us for the next show, we're posting updates of when that will be, subjects, and people that will be joining us online. We'd love to see you come back again, and I hope this all has been entertaining and informational to you.
It has. Great resources, great time. Thank you, everybody, again. It's been wonderful. We look forward to seeing you at the next event, and we'll bring you some more double glitter.